Well, you want to work take like at Sam's Club? In Kalamazoo. Yeah. Especially take I-94 to go to work. It's also great. Like I said, try Napa or try, Yeah, they pay pretty good. They work good there too. What part? I'm not coming back over there. I will. I will. Yeah. The hell is that crap? More crap. There's an old season. Okay, time to watch your. Yeah, John, I'm watching your stuff right now. You really gotta even took the time to look at your stuff. So let's see what you got, John. Let me get comfortable in my big, comfy bed that you wish you had. Get this. Put this over here. It's like a crap. No, that's what TV show is stuck in my head now. That's the theme song about one TV show. The big something. I forget what it's called. It had clowns in it. Which I hated that damn show. Okay, John, just watch this. I'm doing it right now, John. What do you think I'm trying to do right this effing minute? I'm going to do it right now. So shush and wait a minute. John, I was watching something. I had to stop watching it so I could watch your videos you sent me. You owe me big this time. You owe me big. Stop sending me stuff I don't care about. I will watch it. Just give me 5 minutes. If it's about chicken Pokemon, I've never seen that video before. In the Digimon... I'll watch the Hey Arnold thing first, and the Robot Chicken thing, and that's it. I'll watch some other stuff that I like watching. Besides, I'm already behind one video.
Is the best cartoon ever.
Or
at least good enough to be the subject of this video. Hello everyone, my name is Tom, and Hey Arnold is not like cartoons today because it was created in the 90s, and, well, it's not the 90s anymore. So since it's been a while, and maybe some of the viewers watching this aren't that familiar with Hey Arnold, what is
Hey Arnold was
on
good.
the surface, Hey Arnold is an honest story about an urban white kid trying to navigate through the day-to-day life in his community, living in his grandparents' tenement house in the world of that time. Going a bit deeper, this is a slice of life about a young man growing up in a world full of problems. The show primarily focused on the day-to-day life of Arnold, his peers, the people who passed through his life, and all the ups and downs that they would face. The way the hands that they were dealt in life affected their experience in the world. This formula allowed for the show to accomplish a level of depth and honesty that other shows at the time just couldn't.
Yeah, there's no version of New York City. I found that out the other day.
Looked like at the time. time through the eyes of their target demographic, and also just in general. We can, of course, go back and look at a lot of the media at that time aimed at kids and formulate some idea of what the world looked like. But Hey Arnold
Rugrats was up there.
Wait,
So something out.
In the late 90s to early 2000s. That's why
Yep, my term.
when you see 90s kids nostalgia brought up, Hey Arnold is almost always present, if not
So is Rugrats.
in front of that conversation. You look at how kids spent their time going outside,
Basketball.
playing sports, chasing ice cream trucks.
People still do that today.
And I don't doubt the kids still do, but there was something different about it back then. It was a different culture. The world we were exploring was different. And that's the reason why the Jungle movie felt the need to modernize.
I didn't eventually see the movie.
Why doing that completely changed the feeling of the world. The Jungle movie also addressed the few threads of plot present in the story.
I already seen the first movie. It came out in the early 2000s.
Because again, the main series was focused on telling the story of a day in the life in that setting that's not there anymore. Which we should all know, a setting is not only a geographical place, but also a point in time. And the setting is what makes Hey Arnold and gives it such a strong sense of identity. So, part of what made Hey Arnold so great, the period it was set in, was lost in its brief return.
Late 90s, early 90s.
Changed culturally for the Jungle movie. Everyone is dressed different. Bob's Beepers is shutting down because nobody uses beepers anymore. Which, even though these changes make sense, they move the world away from what we...
Wait a minute. Does that mean Helga's father's losing his job? Wait a minute. Wait, didn't Helga's father own an emporium or something?
Hey Arnold, the period it was set in was lost in its brief return. Just look at some of the stuff they changed culturally for the Jungle movie. Everyone is dressed different. Bob's Beepers is shutting down because nobody uses beepers anymore. Which, even though these changes make sense, they move the world away from what we now love Hey Arnold for. The Jungle movie is new and shiny, it's modern, and it does what it sets out to accomplish very well. It tells the story it's trying to tell.
Wow, I thought Bob owned a hardware store of some sort. I didn't know he owned a painter shop.
And I'm not saying that, like, the good old days were better. If you didn't know something back then, you had to go to the library to look it up.
Still today.
Do you know Dewey Decimal System? Because I don't. But
I do.
If I need to, I can just pull out my phone and Google it. And since there's no plot capturing this aspect of the show, we relied a lot on individual characters to convey the messages about the culture and what was happening in the world. So, to analyze that, we need to look at some of the prominent characters, and I've selected a few. I'm sure there are plenty more that you can look at, but these are the ones that I decided to focus on. And I want to start with Harold. I want to talk about Harold because even though he wasn't really a main character, he was a recognizable character and played into the common school bully trope. The first piece of
poor Bob and poor Helga too.
Short about Harold threatening to beat Arnold up, which would eventually be made into its own episode. But the point that drives home is that he was in concept created as the bully. However, Harold as a character gives a lot more than that. Harold is about 13 years old, a lot older than his 4th grade classmates. He's an example of how the inner city school systems in this universe, and also in real life, are set up not to educate kids, but pass them through and give up on them if they weren't able to learn. And Hey Arnold was created before Prezi W passed the No Child Left Behind Act, which was intended to hold schools accountable for students like Harold who are being failed by the system. But in practice, that's a whole thing that we don't really need to talk about. Regardless, my point in bringing this up is you're a lot less likely to see kids being held back today, especially more than once, compared to back then. It definitely happens, but it ain't as easy as it used to be.
I remember that.
Also add a lot to Harold's insecurities. He felt as though everyone thought he was stupid, and the fact that he was older and bigger than his classmates drew attention to the fact that he was overweight, which, giving Harold these insecurities, gave a true-to-life motivation for why he was a bully. And
I was the same way. I got held back twice before that law passed, which I don't give a care.
Telling us that behind the walls of anger and frustration that he put up to protect
I got held back because I was too old. I was too young to grow. Actually, I was too high.
There was the same understanding of what leads kids like Harold to acting out. Now there's a lot more information about these situations and what causes kids to turn out like this. Whether there are resources present to solve that or not.
Or Bob owned a dump company.
What made this character mean so much was
Kentucky
the inspiration of what made him
Kentucky Dumpster. What the?
Where these insecurities
okay.
And his story, as many great stories are, came from the journey. And the culture of that time gave that journey
I really didn't give a care.
Because it had to address all the common misconceptions and all the ignorance that was a common worldview at that time. Which brings us to Helga. Helga's situation has been pretty well documented. People know who Helga is as a character, and she's oftentimes the focus of the deeper discussions around Hey Arnold. She grew up in a neglectful environment. Her sister was always favored over her. Her dad was busy running his business, and her mom was clearly portrayed as an alcoholic. A situation that is honestly pretty realistic, and it's a situation that still happens to this day. People are still having kids that they don't have the time or energy to look after.
Sounds like Matilda.
Relying on self-medication for their vices. They choose favorites, but the world is different for those in the situation now compared to back then. Now there are many more ways to escape this situation, if only temporarily. The world was much smaller before the internet was as widely accessible as it is now. The thing about Helga being in this environment is she doesn't seem to question it. She treats it as normal because of the limitations of her perspective and her experiences. But just because it's normal to her doesn't mean it's not affecting her. We see her crush on Arnold develop for the fact that he showed her unconditional kindness, something that was both foreign to her and she felt like she didn't deserve, but Arnold saw that value in her. And the thing about technology is now there are many more ways for people in these types of situations to realize that their situation isn't normal. And I'm not saying that today this problem is necessarily easier to deal with or anything like that, but there are different ways of coping now. Like escaping into media or online communities, where someone like Helga could potentially find people with shared interests, maybe running a Stan account or a blog or something like that. So there would be different experiences available to Helga that could potentially change her sense of self entirely, but instead, Helga is a product of her time. Helga would use her obsession with Arnold as a way to cope with how little value she got from her home life, because it was one of the only ways that she could. That was really her only escape from her situation and sense of hope in life. And you can also see how this affects her relationship with Phoebe. She takes advantage of her and pushes her around because that's how she was taught to treat people close to her. And Phoebe also has her own issues with her self-worth, so she allows it to happen. But there are moments where Helga realizes that she's overstepping and being too demanding of Phoebe, which tells us that this is a learned behavior and not her true nature. She knows how to do the right thing, but her environment taught her differently. It's also a bit of a dated concept to create this character that loves someone and shows it through being mean to them. Because even though it kind of makes sense,
in the movie she kissed him. In the movie they made out in the movie. The first movie they made in the early 2000s, they kissed.
Like, oh, it's because they like you. Helga did some cruel stuff to Arnold. Nowadays, that's kind of more challenged. Like, nah, bro, that's weird to be terrorizing someone because you like them. Go to therapy and get better for them if you really about it. Telling kids from a young age that that's an acceptable way to act or show love is kind of frowned upon now. Or at least, I hope. Some people still be doing that, so let's just talk about Gerald. Gerald's role was usually the voice of reason. Not always of moral reason, but he was always looking at things logically, even if it was coming from kid logic. Between him and Arnold, who always tries to do the right thing, they make a good team acting as leaders among the kids. If Arnold is the heart of the show, Gerald is the brains. That's why he's class president. Aside from maybe his design, Gerald is a character who I think transfers pretty well from now to the late 90s, early 2000s. At home, he's the middle child, looking after his younger sister and being picked on by his older brother, who also tries to look out for him at times, with two parents who love him. There's also not a whole lot to say about him despite his prominent role in the show, mainly because out of the primary characters,
this is Bandit. Sometimes his food and toys are ordered online, but today he's going to Tractor Supply.
Gerald has the most stable and nuclear background. A lot of the problems Gerald faced were pretty typical problems, even for today. And he got to grow up pretty normal and well-adjusted compared to his peers. He was relatively privileged, which is pretty interesting, and draws attention to the fact that Hey Arnold, despite having a pretty diverse cast, never really portrayed racism. We saw some of the systemic effects, like a diverse community happening to be in the inner city, and those kids all funneling into a school system that doesn't seem very good. And there's also the episode about Mr. Wynn getting separated from his daughter during the Vietnam War, which is a problem that resulted from Western imperialism. But other than that, I don't believe there was ever
Mr. Wynn did the right thing
about racism, which is a bit nice to
Mr. Wynn did the right thing.
Gerald and others just get to exist.
Give his daughter.
Nobody who worked on the show really had a worthwhile story about racism to tell, which maybe this isn't a popular opinion, but I'd rather white writers stay in their lane and write about what they know instead of feeling some obligation to write a potentially tone-deaf story about racism they've never experienced. I believe that Craig Bartlett knew how to write from the perspective of someone like Arnold, and that's why the world feels so real. And the same for other writers on the show, like that episode about Ernie getting turned down by a woman for being too short, and then telling it's more important to love who you are than focus on what you can't change. That
Another
story
episode.
feels like it came from someone who understood that struggle.
This is also on CBS on Saturday mornings, so.
To get more people of color working in animation and getting the opportunities to tell stories about their unique struggles. But finally, let's talk about Arnold. Arnold was a good kid coming from a very unconventional home life. He lost his parents in what was a mystery for the lifespan of the main series and grew up in his grandparents' tenement house. And on the front of that house read a sign that said, "No kids. That's okay." Which, if we read into that, which that's my job, it means that Arnold wasn't considered a normal kid in the context of his home. It was an adult environment. The tenants were not expected to censor themselves or be especially mindful of the fact that there was a child in the house beyond showing Arnold basic respect. So Arnold had to grow up pretty fast. He didn't have a nurturing caretaker beyond his grandfather, who was less nurturing and more of a mentor, and his grandmother, who was a bit nurturing but was also clearly suffering from some form of dementia and
Alzheimer's.
Present mentally.
She was also a nut.
It makes sense that Arnold would end up being more mature than his peers and end up having a lot of people coming to him to solve their problems and feeling a responsibility to solve people's problems. But by telling the story through that type of character, a character who is naturally a leader and has to be responsible for himself, that gave the viewer a sense of freedom. We got to explore the world of Hey Arnold and meet all sorts of different people and have so many different experiences because Arnold was trusted by both adults and his peers to take care of things, which naturally gave him more freedom. One of the goals of Hey Arnold was to explore the freedom kids lack. I think that's part of why I never fully appreciated Hey Arnold when I was younger, but now I can, because Arnold has the freedom I didn't have then, but do now. And he gets to interact with the world with the same innocence and curiosity that I once had, but no longer do. It's a kid who is the age I was during that era, seeing the things about the world that I saw as I got older, but as time started to change, Hey Arnold used
8 or 9, and I wasn't around yet.
Kids not only the world that they could relate to, but the world around them that they both didn't get to or couldn't see, giving them a chance to empathize or consider what their peers might be going through that they didn't know about, which is what makes it such an easy show to look back on when wanting to feel nostalgia, because it takes us back in time to experience the same art that made us fully appreciate the world at that time for what it was, both good and bad. But as always, we want to hear what you think. Do you think that Hey Arnold does a good job of portraying the time period it's set in? Tell us in the comments down below, or you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at TommyPQM, or find us at Roundtable Vids on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Roundtable and hit the bell for notifications to never miss a video. If you are able to and want to go above and beyond to support the Roundtable, you can hit the join button down below to become a channel member, or you can pledge to us on Patreon.
Meet Pixel 4a, starting at just $349. Pay over time with zero. Look, it's the Pokemon Daycare Center.
Hi, mister. Can you teach us to hatch Pokemon eggs? Oh, not so fast there, young man. Where
Wait.
those eggs come from in the first place? Storage
The
trees?
same place baby humans come from, you idiots.
My mom's uterus? Trees? You need two Pokemon who like each other very much, like those bugs.
Not watching it. Because I seen that one sucked. Yep.
From the start. Oh.
Maximum Overdrive. Stephen King, YouTube.
You're pretty good, Misty.
Better than you, Ash. Oh, darn. Ash, why have we been playing tennis with a Pokeball?
Pikachu pissed on my rug.
Oh.
Ew!
Damn right.
Pikachu. Pikachu.
Back into your Pokeball, Pikachu.
That should never happen.
I wonder what it's like inside those Pokeballs.
I wonder when you'll shut up and make my dinner.
Besides, Pikachu's not that kind of ball anyways. They screwed up.
Is you ready to battle, Ash?
That'd be something that Bonnie would be doing, you know that.
Ash, Pikachu, I choose.
It means to be a Hydra, John, which I don't think would happen. Charger did not.
Go get him, Pikachu.
Pikachu, you're terminated. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Honey, the machine just called me an ass. Oh, you want to relive? I'll tell you where he lives. Oh, I'll tell you where he lives. I'll tell you where he lives. He lives here. That's where he lives. He lives there. That's where he lives. That's where he lives. That's where John lives. He lives there. Yes, that's where exactly he lives. And I live here. This is where I live. I live here. No, really, that's the real town he lives in. I'll prove it to you. 4. I'll prove it to you. He does live there. Hell, Michigan zip code.
Hell's zip code is 48,169.
That's where John lives. John lives there, and I live here. Ingalls, Michigan zip code.
Ingalls, Michigan zip code is 49,848.
Yeah, I live in Ingalls, Michigan. I live in Daggett. My zip code is 4984. Yeah, I live in Daggett, Michigan, which is actually hell. Besides, one, I know you don't work for the FBI, imbecile. I don't think you work for the FBI, because I can tell you right now, you don't. Because I actually do know someone who works for the FBI. I actually do. I can't say his name for safety reasons. Also, my cousin's actually a police officer, so like I really think you're fucking it, joking. Trust me, I have a cut. My cousin's actually a real police officer for the state of Indiana. I can call him up right now. Here. No, I'm not kidding. Show. Well, I'm not joking. My cousin is a cop. You want him to beat the living crap out of you? Because I make one phone call, you're dead. Don't try me. You want to play this game, me? Oh, we can play this game right now. Detective Division, please. Yes, I like to talk to officer, please. Okay, can I leave a message then? Okay, tell him that Milton called. He knows who that is. Tell him I need help with something. Tell him that it has to do something. It's kind of important, but yeah. Next time he gets a chance, next time he comes in, tell him that I called. Tell him to call me back. He knows who I am. Yeah, this is about an old cold case. If you want to know what I'm saying, it's about an old cold case. That's all I'm gonna say. Goodbye. I don't know if he's kidding or not, but I actually just did call my cousin, and he might be coming back later. Right now he's on case, so who knows? Besides, you don't understand. I got friends in high and low places, so don't try me, Mister Goofball. So I'm done watching John's stuff for the day. Now I can watch whatever I feel like watching it now. Yeah, well, listen, I don't know who you are, mister, but you won't be my problem much longer. I wonder why that will be, I wonder. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, see here. What do we do? Report. Here we go. You see here. You see here. Oh, here we go. Choose. There we go. There we go. Mr. Yet will no longer be with us. Okay. At this time, Mr. Okay. Okay, at this time. Let's see here. Do this. Blah 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 blah. Choose one. Do 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 do. Okay, you know what? I got a better idea for you. There we go. That took care of the problem I have with this imbecile. I don't have to deal with him for about 3 hours. I don't have to deal with him for about 2 minutes. Now I can go on and then tell the local police that tell the local police I'm getting harassed by an imbecile. Don't try me. But the local police here won't do squat because the police in this town are stupid. You got a problem? Call the sheriff's office. Got a problem? Call the state police department. In Pigeon. Pigeon's too damn far. The sheriff's office is only 300 miles. Sheriff's office 500 from here. 5 miles from here. Pigeon state police. I don't know if the state police is from here. Please try to get local police department. Yeah, like they're gonna do anything in this downtown. Police in this downtown are stupid. If I got a problem, call the sheriff's office. Got a problem, call the state police department. They don't do shit in this county anyways. Or the state. Oh well. I'm going off. Let's see here.